Fund our schools! 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 Fund our schools!
Thank you. Is it on?
No, I don't think it's powered.
I know we like the shade.
Try now?
Hello. Oh, yay. Thanks, Ruben. Always count on a teacher to know how to do when technology isn't working. Thank you, Mr. De Silva. My name is Vicki Courtney. I'm the president of the Clark County Education Association, and I want to thank you, representing the 18,000 licensed educators here in Clark County. Thank you all educators for being out here, parents, family members, students. We're out here today because this day is the day that the legislature will decide on funding for education, for our students, for the resources they need in the classroom, and for the pay for our educators. And our educators and our students deserve those resources. Thanks. This is important to our educators that we fund our schools now. We took a vote a few weeks ago, and our educators said that if the legislature didn't put money, and there was no money for the district to bargain for, that we would strike. We're here to say that we're going to keep our word, we're going to keep our promises. We expect legislators to keep their promises. They need to know that we're keeping ours. I have a couple of folks, teachers, who I want to come up here and share their stories with you. Kristen Nigro. There she is. Let them know who you are.
Kristen Nigro. I'm a kindergarten teacher over at Shore Elementary. Oh, man, I feel the love. So I'm here today because I am a CCEA member, and I am an angry CCEA member because I'm sick and tired of having promises that are made but can't be followed through upon. My whole thing is if I make promises to my kindergartners, I follow through. So what we're looking at right now is just as Vicki Courtney said, we're looking at the fact that we need some money to help us give the resources to these kids that deserve it. We have over 300,000 kids in our school district. That's insanity. And we only have, well, not very many teachers, and a lot of them are still leaving because you're not paying us, we're frozen. So I appreciate them taking Assembly Bill 309, and I thank you, Assembly Speaker Frierson, for doing that and making that come into fruition, because that's huge. That's huge legislative history. But the biggest thing is yes, I'm grateful for that, but at the same time, I also need $120 million annually to make things work. And I'm not just talking about myself, I'm talking about the 318,000 students also. They need the money. And I'm really hoping, come on guys, do what's right. Monday is the end. We need to have our schools funded now. You guys put the legislature in place, and we need to have that money. So thank you so much, and looking for Jim Frazee. Oh, sorry.
Okay, thanks, Kristen. We appreciate your story, and it's so important to remember this funding is essential, and these legislators need to do this now. They have to close that budget first. So I'm looking for next up educator Jim Frazee from Centennial High School. Let's go and talk about school funding and why we need it now.
Thank you. My name is Jim Frazee. I teach at a high school, not a professional speaker. To Centennial High School during the day, and then I teach at Morris Sunset at night, and here for the summer. So I'm one of those teachers with 3 jobs. I wanted to talk a little bit about how we got here. I moved to Las Vegas in '99, and we had about 700,000 people in the valley. And we were building 13 new schools a year. And what they said to us is, if you just hang in there, once this growth ends, we'll deal with class sizes. Just hang in there. And it was an exciting time in Vegas. And then we got 2007, and our economy just counted on entertainment and growth itself, building. And then the bomb hit, and unemployment hit. And then they cut $1 billion from public education. And they said, just hang in there. When times are good, we're going to fix this problem. Well, times are good, and they're not fixing the problem. We've had a couple of the best years we've ever had in Las Vegas. And what have we gotten? Educators have gotten pay freezes and budget cuts every year. So our question to the legislature is, if you're not going to do it now in the great times, we know what's coming when the economy goes bad again.
That's right. Woo.
Ladies and gentlemen, legislators, Governor Sisolak, we're done with that. We're standing here in front of Durango High School, where the governor sent his 2 incredible daughters to school. And what we want is the same quality public education as they got back when.
Absolutely.
We are the 5th largest school district in the country, and we're funded like one of the worst.
Right.
It's not just talking points when we say that we have the largest class sizes in the country without the resources to deal with them. So let's talk about this and dispel some myths. That this is a money grab. You're just asking to pour more money at the problem. We cut $1 billion back in 2007. Governor Sandoval, with the commerce tax, put about 600 to 800 million back in, but we're still treading water from funding levels of 12 years ago. Okay, there is no new money that has been thrown at the problem. We've had to make do. And the burnout rate among educators is absolutely astounding.
That's right.
Let's look at the education struggle. Because again, the myth is that we're just money hungry and stuff like that. Clark County used to attract the extra teachers that came out of California. But now there aren't people becoming educators in college because of the school shootings, the violence, the high student debt. There are no extra teachers to come here. So every single teacher that's here, you must retain because you can't replace them. And when you attract new teachers to Clark County, you got to make them want to stay. And so far, what we've had is new people have come in here is pay freeze after pay freeze, attack on health care. That's not attracting new people, and that's not getting people to stay. Again, I go back to our beloved governor, who I believe has the best interests at heart, but interests don't pay the bills. Interests don't teach children. And I have to sit and teach high schoolers with 12-year-old books without any covers. It's not that my principal doesn't want to do the right thing, it's there aren't resources there. Okay? We are not striking at this moment because of just teacher pay. We want the resources to help teach our children. Okay? We talked to the legislator and the governor beforehand, and we said that Clark County needs $120 million new dollars a year to survive. So far, they've moved some money around, they've done some things, and we still are $56 million short. They have 24 hours to fix this. They have 24 hours to fix this. They're sitting on $190 million, and it's got to come to Clark. Okay, it's got to come to DSA, not categoricals, where it doesn't get to every school, but to the DSA account. That's not asking too much. It's not asking too much when politicians told us from the top to the bottom of that ticket that education was their #1 issue. Okay? Maybe if we were just a sideline thing, that we could understand that. But that's not when you say, I am running to fix this problem. Governor, we're here to help you hold up to your commitments. We're here to help you fix the problem. Reach out to us. We're available, and we want to do the right thing. But please understand one thing very clearly. If Governor and legislators, if you hear nothing else today, understand this. Come August, if this is not fixed, we will strike. And we will demand a new special session, and then it's not $56 million. We're going to ask for stadium money. We're going to ask to fix the problem once and for all. The violence that has come and has been noted everywhere, and parents are concerned. They want to get their children to school safely and get them home. It's because of the chronic overcrowding. We can no longer allow this to continue, and we won't. How many more generations have we have to waste of students because of this nonsense?
That's right. No more.
So enough is enough. We want it fixed, and we want it fixed now. I would like to thank everyone to come out. To my colleagues, to fellow educators that are sitting back and watching the struggle, and they want to go back to work, and they want to teach their kids, and they just want just what you promised me, what I signed up for. I signed up for this much. Just give me the resources. I don't want to strike. We understand that completely because we are classroom teachers and we feel the same way. We are educators and counselors. We want to go back come August and teach our kids. Okay? But we also know that we're not going to continue with this level of child abuse, this level of absolute incompetency. And we ask you to sacrifice with us and join us.
That's right.
To parents and community members that care deeply and are concerned about this, we are reaching out to you to help us help your children. Okay? We are asked every day to break up fights and to stand in the way of very dangerous situations. And we do it gladly. We do it gladly. And so I want to ask you, if we are willing to stand up and take a punch for your children, literally, to give them a safe environment, will you click on a link for us? Would you go to our website and send a text to the governor and legislators? The website is there, a call for action, CCEA-Nevada.org, and tell your legislators that we want school in August. Governor, I hope you don't make any plans for late August. Don't go out of town. Okay. Anyway, I want to thank you for allowing me to speak to you today, and have a great day.
Thanks, Jim. And I know every educator standing behind me could tell you a story that's the same as Jim's about what happens in our schools each and every day and the work that they do and the funds they spend out of their own pockets to ensure that our students are safe and learning. But it is time for us to have a change. So I want to thank everybody for coming out today. You are awesome. I know it's hot out here. I want to let the press know that I'm going to introduce John Velardita now. So if you have questions, John Velardita is the executive director of CCEA, so we have time for questions. So, John?
So first off, I want to thank all the educators, our friends, parents, students that came out. It's not easy, 90-degree weather to come out, but you're out here for a cause, and we appreciate that. Amen. So I just want to spell out the sequence of events that happen based on decisions that lawmakers are going to make in the next 24, 48 hours. We've said consistently, without any conditions, that our classrooms need more dollars. We've been consistent that those dollars have to be put on the base per pupil funding. We've been clear that the amount of those dollars had to be $120 million more than what initially was budgeted by the governor and legislature.
That's right.
We know that efforts have been made by leadership and the governor to try to bridge that gap, but we know as we speak today, there's a $56 million a year gap, as the previous speakers have mentioned. We know that if that gap is not bridged in the next 24, 48 hours, the school district has a list of budget cuts, and those cuts will travel into every classroom in every building in this school district. It'll affect 320,000 students. It'll affect 18,000 educators. It'll affect 12,000 support staff, and it'll affect a few thousand administrators, but more important, it will once again harm the education of our students. Now, we have faith and confidence that the right decisions will be made. However, if they're not, this is what's going to happen. If the district finds that it has not been adequately funded to meet the needs for resources in the classroom, its operations, and at the same time fulfill the commitment of the governor to make sure that educators receive the raises that they've been promised, and if they don't have that, they result in cuts, that then will trigger a strike. And that strike will take place at the beginning of the school year. We will inform all parents and students advance notice of when that's going to take place so that folks can make arrangements. We know that parents in general, when they learn and they understand that this is a fight for their children and resources in their classroom, they'll stand with us. 4 weeks ago, we took a poll and we found that 76% of all parents said that they would support a strike if it was about getting enough resources into our classroom to address things like class sizes and having good programs for kids, as well as make sure that educators can live in the community they teach with adequate pay raises. We do not believe that that support has wavered. We believe that support will grow because that support will be based on one thing. And I would ask that every lawmaker that's up there, all 63 of you and the governor, listen to these words. What you do between now and you close this session out, parents in Southern Nevada are going to determine whether or not you fulfilled your promises to adequately fund our schools now. So as we move forward, we will be making an announcement once this session closes out and the school district reconciles its budget with the dollars it gets from the state. And if that reconciliation results in the district announcing budget cuts, that then will trigger our strike mobilization. During the course of the several weeks of the summer, we will be preparing to make sure that every educator has an opportunity to participate and that every parent, every student, every support staff that are part of the Clark County School District are informed of the steps that we're taking that they would join us in our efforts. So today we're here, as President Courtney had mentioned, because it's not coincidental. We selected this day. Today is decision-making day up in Carson City. And sometimes what happens, despite all the good work, and I know that there's been good work done by the leadership, Speaker Frierson, Majority Leader Canizero, the Republican leadership that also wants to see adequate funding in these schools, and the governor himself. There's an attempt to try to bridge this gap. We know that. But sometimes people get in a bubble and they are divorced from the reality. Educators are not going to start next school year with one single cut in these classrooms. So that concludes our remarks, and available for any questions from the press now. Okay.
They'll do one-on-one.
Okay, we're looking at one-on-ones. That's fine.
Well, I'm gonna be shy. Oh, I'm not shy. Where else is this weekend?
Percent of children in Clark County in relation to the state.
Okay, well then that, if there's no questions from the press, we'll take the question. Oh, we do have one here. Yes.
Have you been in touch with the governor this week or today even about any specific measures or bills that you're pushing for that might meet your demands?
So, question is, have we been in communication? And let me embellish, not just the governor, but leadership, because it's in the hands of leadership right now. The governor and leadership knows crystal clear. In fact, we had meetings this past week with leadership that we need an additional $56 million per year for Clark County schools on the base per pupil funding level into the DSA. We've been consistent with that. We know there's been efforts to try to make that. We've also been clear that if that doesn't take place and the district proceeds to make cuts, then what will happen is what we've talked about today. So we're expecting appropriations to be made to bridge that gap. Today, budget proposals for non-education state appropriations are being heard, but the key one is the appropriations for education funding, which should be passed per the Constitution before all other budget members. That's what we'll be watching. That's where they can make the type of appropriations. Some of the efforts that have been made up to this point, like putting the additional 10% excise tax on marijuana into the DSA, good step in the right direction, but didn't bridge the gap totally. A recent bill, 551, introduced by the majority leader, tries to move $100 million on extending the modified business tax into education, falls real short of what our needs are. Part of that money is for safety, which we understand, and that should go there. But the other is on categorical dollars that does not bridge the gap of the $56 million that the school district has. So we cannot support those kind of efforts. Yes, sir.
So the district is expected to have its own news conference any minute now, announcing an update on the budget. If they are able to fill the gap, would you be willing to call off the strike?
So when the numbers are reconciled and when the school district's board of trustees finalizes a budget that has the appropriate resources for the classroom as well as the raises for educators, then that would be settled in terms of us understanding where the numbers are. But until that, it's about show us the money. We're not moving until we see the money.
Show me the fund our schools! 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 Fund our schools!
Any other questions?
Over here, John.
Yes, sir.
If you guys do decide to go on strike, I know that is against Nevada law for teacher publications. So, how long would you expect to go on the strike for?
So good question. The question, if everybody didn't hear, is strikes are illegal in Nevada, and yet we're saying we're going to go on strike, and if we do, how long? So let me tell you that the narrative in this country, state after state, led by Republican governments in right-to-work states with more conservative governments than what we have in the state of Nevada, has had strikes by teachers where it was illegal. And yet teachers said at one point enough is enough, and they went out and they demanded to fund their schools, and they were successful. It's no different in Nevada. People need to understand that. So when our members decided to authorize a strike, they knew full well that that strike is prohibited under law and that there were risks. And I would say this, that the lesson out of that is that our folks have said enough is enough. They're not going to start another school year with a pay freeze and no resources in larger classes. So if we go out, as the speaker before said, we are not going to go out. This is not a strike against the school district. Let me repeat that. This is not a strike against the school district. We have no issue with the school district. This is a strike around having our state make education a priority, and those that are in leadership, that are empowered to make decisions that say that that priority is met by funding our schools now. So that's why we would be demanding a special session. If we can give $1 billion handout to an NFL team, we can put dollars, and we can put dollars in the classroom, and we do know who sits up there right now that supported putting $1 billion handout to an NFL team, and we're watching their vote today. Any other questions? The question is, Clark County School District, is that approximately 70% of all the children in the state? The answer is yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, any other questions? Okay, if there's no other questions, that concludes our press conference, and folks can end with a nice rally.
Fund our